Hey friends, welcome to the Q with Q show. This is another edition of Beneath the Surface, and it's me, your host, Quentin R. Giles, but if we're friends, then you know you have to call me Q. Now we're about 1 week removed from Thanksgiving 2020, and it was a bit of a different one. We all had to socially distance. Well, I guess we didn't have to, but a good amount of us did. A lot of us didn't gather traditionally the way that we have over the past years, and it just didn't really seem like Thanksgiving. But something happened on social media that I thought was absolutely beautiful, and I've seen some support and some pushback from it, and I thought this would be the perfect topic to discuss and go beneath the surface. So on Thanksgiving, a popular Christian artist named Smokie Norful posted a photo of him and his 16-year-old son. Well, the photo went viral because his son snuggled up with his father and went to sleep in his arms. Smokie wrote, "By far my favorite part of today, my 16-year-old baby boy at prod by snow _ who's my height, climbed in my arms and went sound asleep like when he was 16 months. Didn't want it to end, never do they want to be my little babies anymore. Couldn't tell if my oldest son, at Trey Norful, was waiting on his turn or saying W2H with his expression. And my mama was concerned with only one thing, kissing her grandbaby." Now the photo went viral and I thought it was absolutely beautiful to see a man embrace his son and vice versa. And the fact that they are Black men sharing this intimate space just did my heart some good. That's not something that we have traditionally seen. And as a Black man who grew up without a father, the little kid in me leaped for joy when I saw that. The grown man in me aspire to have that moment whenever I have my son, because it was an intimacy that I don't know, and so many like me, we don't know that. Even men or boys with their fathers, particularly in the Black community, that level of intimacy is far and few in between. And so to see it, I think that's one of the reasons why it went viral, to see that. And we'll get into the pushback a little bit later, but I want to spend some time just sitting in this space of a son feeling loved enough, comfortable enough, wanted enough by his father to go at in his same height, 16, and we've all been 16. I've been a 16-year-old boy, thinking you the man of the house, thinking you big and you bad and all this stuff at 16, and you're nothing. Sorry to my teenagers that are watching. When you grow and you get to this side, I'll be 32 in a couple months. When you get to this side, you realize, like, when I was a kid, I was doing way too much, and I definitely wasn't a man. But to see this young man, this teenager, fall into his father's arms, and not only fall, but be comfortable enough to wrap his arms around him and go to sleep, shows a level of intimacy and trust there, just from a father-son relationship. Coupling that with them being Black men, and we've historically and traditionally been raised to be hard and to be tough and to not show emotions and to not cry, and we just gotta work, and that's how you get, you get to the next level. The grind don't stop. This was just like, no, that's not a thing. It doesn't have to be a thing. We can love. We can normalize touching affectionately and it not be a sexual thing. Like, let's normalize that. Since we're normalizing everything, let's normalize that. We can have our fathers. We can embrace our fathers. We can see what it's like to be a father and to show genuine love and affection to your son, and to be a godly Christian father and to show genuine love and affection to your son. Like, I loved everything about it. And it's sad that I even have to applaud them on one end, but you give the applause, or I'm giving the applause because we don't see it. And because I had such an emotional response to that, now I had to do my own unpack and be like, oh, emotional walls. Y'all know I'm quick to cry. I let my emotions do what they do. I don't let them dictate me, but if something comes up, I allow that process to happen. Because for so long, like I said, growing up as a Black man, as a Black boy, you're taught that you're not supposed to have that, or like men in general aren't supposed to have emotions. How, Sway? we're human. We do have emotions and we should express those, and we should, in the context and in the right frames, right? And we should be allowed to sit in that. We should be allowed to weep. We should be allowed to love. We should be allowed to lament. We should be allowed to have one of those days, just like Monica had. Like, girls have a lot of space to have just one of those days. That's the vocals, baby. I'll be on American Idol or whatever the new show is now, The Voice. I'll be on that thing later if this career doesn't work out. But no, like, men should be able to have just one of those days too. So I applaud them for having that intimate moment and then allowing us to share in it. Because Smokie didn't have to post it. I don't know if he cleared it with his son. You know, if his son would be okay if he posted it, probably not, because, you know, parents just do whatever they want to do. But, you know, to share that, when you share things on social media, I look at it as the standpoint is you are allowing us access. You are allowing us in. You are allowing us to say whatever it is we want to say, whether you agree or care or anything like that. That is what's happening. And so I'm thankful that they allowed us in on this intimate moment to show that this is a thing and that that's okay. On the inverse, when you allow that, you give people the space to push back. Now, I'm sure Smokie doesn't care and isn't paying attention to it, but I want to address it. I saw a post from one of my friends just asking, just putting the conversation out there, you know, is this okay? And of course, here we go. The toxic masculinity floods in, you know, and it's, you know, you see comments like, you too big for that, like, don't get on me, you know, you can lay in the bed, but you can't lay on me. And it's my hope that we really move away from that as men, and then specifically as Black men, because like I said earlier, we're allowed to have those emotions. I wish, and I don't know Smokie and his kids and his dynamic or anything, I'm talking about this singular moment, because I love my life and I love the way my life has set up, and I love the way God has moved, Jesus has moved in my life and where I am today. But I would have loved if I had a father and had that moment. I would have loved that. I long to do that with my kid. Now, y'all know, if y'all followed me, if you tune into the YouTube live, excuse me, you know, I told you I'm doing this whole thing. I'm trying to set myself up so that I can be a stay-at-home employee dad, right? Bringing you content, but still being at home with my babies that I am nowhere near having. I'm nowhere near having kids. Put that on the timeline for another 5 years, but I want to set my life up in such a way to where I can be in their lives. I plan to be very intentional, very active, very loving, very caring, very correcting when I see something wrong. I plan to be that type of father. So to see that, I long for that. I hope that whenever my son gets 16, bump that, when I'm 70 and my baby 35, I want my baby to come. You can come always here. That's what that image said. You can always come back here. So I reject the criticism. I reject the toxic masculinity that says that shouldn't be a thing. I reject the idea that somehow this is gay. Like, that's a father and a son. Like, let's normalize touching each other in an intimate way, giving intimate, compassionate hugs, giving compassionate kisses that are not sexualized. Everything does not have to be sexualized. And I understand we live in a highly sexualized world, specifically here in America. We've heard the term sex sales. I hate that that's the term. No lie, in my previous life, or not like that, in my previous years, I thought that was the only way I could succeed as well, by somehow selling a sexual type of image. So I get that, I reject that, and I'm thankful that the Holy Spirit has opened my eyes, and I know that I don't have to do that to still succeed at the thing that I want. But we got to get into a space where we normalize compassionate touching, loving each other, and it's not wound up in a sexual way. I want to read something that I posted on my Instagram at Quentin R. Giles the night Chadwick Boseman, who we know as T'Challa from the Black Panther passed away. And I think that it will provide a little context to what I'm saying. Also, side note to why Black people love the Black Panther so much and why we stand for it and why we still yelling Wakanda forever, even though we know Wakanda is not a real thing. But I think that comment that I posted ties a little bit into what I'm saying. So I want to read it. And again, this is the night Chadwick Boseman died. Chadwick played many iconic roles, but I think the reason we all feel this gut punch is not only because his young age and great career ahead, but moreover his role in Black Panther. Whether you thought the acting in the entire movie was good or not, the movie was symbolic. The all-Black main cast with the iconic Black director and Chadwick as the lead role was everything we needed in Black film. And a major Black film at that. No hypersexualizing Black bodies, no drug addict needing rehabilitation, no ghetto and impoverished people, but strength, power, intellect, finance, and tech all encapsulated the Black characters. Chadwick, playing a man coming into his own as king, having an imperfect yet supportive and present father with a strong family structure, we saw a real reflection of who we are and not what we have been made to be for decades in film. That's why we feel the gut punch. That's why it feels like a personal loss. Rest well, young king. Wakanda forever. The main thing I really want to point out in that comment was talking about how in that movie, the characters weren't overly sexualized. They weren't ghetto. They weren't impoverished. They weren't drug addicts that needed some type of assistance. Like, they stood in their own power. They stood on the backs of their own work. They worked in a community and came together. And there's a real movement right now amongst the African American community to really like change the culture and change the way we've been viewed for so long and start to really investing in generational wealth, seeing the mistakes of the past, allowing people to tear down our communities, allowing them to push us back through legislation every time we make steps forward. And might I add to the suggestion plate of how we continue to do that is normalize things like Smokie and his son. Normalizing that it's okay for a Black father to love his Black kid. Normalizing that just by them hugging is not gay or somehow going to attack your manhood or make you less masculine. If anything, how else do we expect to change the culture if we cannot create space for men to genuinely love their children? To genuinely embrace them without the specter of sexuality or without the specter of something sexual happening. We gotta get out of that. We gotta get out of that. Normalize affectionate touch, not linked to sexuality, not linked to sex. Normalize love. Normalize love. That is what that was. So again, I'm thankful that Smokie allowed us into his life with that photo. And I'm thankful that he didn't let the idea of somehow he would be viewed as less of a man to stop him from showing that. And I'm even thankful, I'm not even a part of these people's family. I don't even know these people, but that his son felt such a sense of security and love, safety, honor, respect towards his father, that he would go and embrace him and allow himself to become small again, to become like a baby in his father's arms. That's beautiful. That's totally beautiful. And honestly, what comes to mind right now is that's how God is. That's exactly how God is in my life. How he opened my eyes and how Jesus saved me and how he gave me his spirit, and he is like not like my father. He is my father in heaven, and I can just curdle up in his arms. And so it's empowering because I know I have that with me. And Smokie has that as well. He is a professed Christian, a follower of Christ. And so I'm excited. I'm excited for the kids I don't have. I'm ready for the kids that I don't have. And I aspire to have that moment myself.